Welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. And welcome, people. Yes, it's here, it's finally arrived. Well, to be honest, it actually arrived a while ago. Last night, just after midnight to be accurate. But never mind all that, we haven't missed anything. So it doesn't really matter when it actually arrived, does it? No. The point is that it's here now, and we're sitting in it, we're squatting in it, we're standing in it, and we're basking in it. Yes, we're basking in the glorious light that is provided by fantastic Friday. Yes, it's here, and we can all feel its warmth and light, and it's getting stronger, isn't it? Yes. Okay, we all know that Friday actually arrived very early this morning, before dawn, just after midnight. But it wasn't so impressive at that time, was it? No. Just like you and I, Friday needs a bit of time to get going. It's the same with me in the morning. I don't rocket out of my bed in the morning. Well, not unless the bed's on fire, obviously. So it takes me a little bit of time to wake up, to raise my energy levels to something higher. And it's probably the same with all of you. Most people are slower first thing in the morning. Maybe not Michael Dudikoff or Master Ken, but the rest of us who are only mortal, we normally start the morning slowly and then build up throughout the day. And it's the same with Friday. Friday arrived very early this morning, but Friday didn't look much like Friday, to be honest. Friday looked about the same as Wednesday. Yes, it's true. But now that the day is progressing, so Friday's energy levels are getting higher and higher, Friday is becoming more and more recognizable as Friday, the day we know, the day which opens the door to the weekend. Friday, the key in the door of the weekend is coming, people. All right, now, we've still got some time until Friday reaches full power. So let's concentrate on something else for the moment and let Friday sit in the corner, quietly meditating on what's coming up. All right, and what's coming up for us now? Well, we've had a look at the present simple and the present continuous. I reckon it's about time we delved into the past. Are you all ready? Good, because here we go. All right, so let's have another quick look at the past simple. Okay, first things first, when do we use the past simple tense? Any ideas? Yes, that's right. We use the past simple to provide, to give information about something not in the present, but in the past. When we use the past simple tense, we're talking about something which happened in the past. Now, let's start with a quick look at what happens, what changes with the verb to be when we put it into the past. Well, for a start, it's not as complicated as the verb to be in the present simple tense. In the past simple tense, the verb to be has got only two forms, was and were. We use was when we're talking about the first person singular and the third person singular. We use were for all the other subject forms, second person singular and all of the plural subject forms. So, this means that if I want to tell you something about my life in the past, I can use the past simple. In August 1977, I was 6 years old. So, a simple sentence telling you something about me in the past. I've given you a date, 1977, and I've told you something about me at that time in the past. Okay, and it's the same with the other subject forms too. All we have to do is remember that we use was for I, he, she, and it, and we use were for all the rest. Simple. All right, so let's see some examples. When they arrived, they were very tired. At 11 p.m., we were in bed. Yesterday morning, he was in a cafe. Okay, simple pimple. So, we've seen the positive, and it's simple, isn't it? Yes! It's almost laughingly simple. 2 forms? Is that all? Pah! All right. Then what about the negative? How do you think we make negative sentences using the past simple tense? Well, think about it. What word do we need? And let me give you a hint. It's not an animal that's a sort of a monkey. Yes, that's right. Chimpanzee is wrong. When we want to make a negative, we need the adverb not, which we can use in combination with an auxiliary verb or the verb to be to make a negative sentence. So, we know that we need the adverb not, and where are we going to stick it? Well, where do you think? Have a look at these 3 sentences and see if you can pick the correct sentence. A. Not I was tired. B. I not was tired. C. I was not tired. So, which one is the correct sentence? Sentence A, sentence B, or sentence C? Yes, that's right. It's the last one, isn't it? It's sentence C. In order to make the negative form of the verb to be in the past simple, we have to follow the correctly conjugated verb, either was or were, with the adverb not. And as we all prefer the abbreviated or short form, this means that most of the time we're going to abbreviate was not to wasn't and were not to weren't. All right. Simple, pimple, dimple, wimple, Bailey, Baileys, but with ice, obviously. Okay, so we can handle the past simple positive form of the verb to be. No worries. And we can handle the past simple negative form of the verb to be. That's easy too. So what about asking questions using the past simple? What about that? Well, what have we seen this week regarding questions? What is the main difference between a positive statement and a question in English? Yes, that's right. The main difference is the structure of the sentence, isn't it? When we're making a positive statement, we start with a subject, perhaps using a subject pronoun like I, you, he, or something like that. And then we follow that subject with a verb. But when we're asking a question, things change, don't they? That's right. When we're asking a question, we swap the positions of the subject and the verb. So that means that we start with the verb and follow with the subject. The positive statement, Chief Mangazuta Buthelezi, he was in bed last night, is changed into a question by swapping the places of the verb and the subject. We start with the verb, the correctly conjugated form of the verb to be, in this case, for the third person singular, was. Then we follow the verb with the subject or subject pronoun, Chief Mangazuta Buthelezi, or he. So this means that we now have, was Chief Mangazuta Buthelezi, he, in bed last night? All right, and as we all remember, we put a question mark at the end to show everyone that we're asking a question. Okay, so that's simple enough, isn't it? I think so. All right, well, let's have a look at the past simple tense when we're making sentences with other verbs, not the verb to be. Now, with lots of verbs, well, with regular verbs, the past simple form adds ed to the infinitive. So, for example, work becomes worked, stay becomes stayed, clean becomes cleaned, and start becomes started. Work, worked, stay, stayed, clean, cleaned, start, started. Now, we can see that there's going to be a couple of problems, can't we? Yes, it's the spelling monster, isn't it? Yes, we have to be careful with the spelling changes, don't we? So, what do we remember about the changes we have to make when we add ed to the end of the infinitive, when we make sentences with a verb in the past simple tense? Okay, well, to start with, if the verb ends in e, then we don't add ed to the end to make the past simple form. We only add d, but that's logical, isn't it? Okay, well, what else? Well, if the infinitive ends in consonant plus y, then we remove the y and add not ed, but ied. So we change the y to an I and add ed to make the past simple form of these verbs. All right. And what about verbs with a vowel plus y at the end? Well, with these verbs, verbs like the verb to stay or the verb to enjoy, we keep the Y and add ed. Stay becomes stayed and enjoy becomes enjoyed. Okay, and what else do we need to think about? Well, what about verbs which end with a vowel and a consonant? Well, for these verbs, verbs like, I don't know. Verbs like the verb to stop, we double the last letter before we add the ed ending. So stop becomes stopped in the past simple tense, and similarly, the verb to drop becomes dropped in the past simple tense. All right, but what about those verbs which end in two consonants? Well, with these verbs, we don't double the last letter before we add the ed ending. So with verbs like the verb to help, when we make the past simple form, help becomes helped, but there's only one P in helped. Work ends in two consonants, so that verb to in the past simple is worked, and it only has one K. The same rule applies to verbs which end in two vowels and a consonant, so the verb to need becomes needed, and the last letter isn't double, it's N-E-E-D-E-D. The same thing happens with the verb to wait. That too ends in two vowels and a consonant, so the past simple form is waited, no double T, W-A-I-T-E-D. All right, and there's one last group too. Can you all guess which the last group is? Yes, that's right. It's our favorite group, the group who aren't the friends of logic. It's the irregular verbs. So we know that there are quite a few of these. Yes, there are. The verb to say, for example, becomes said. The verb to tell becomes told. The verb to fight becomes fought. The verb to buy becomes bought. The verb to drink becomes drank. Say, said. Tell, told. Fight, fought. Buy, bought. Drink, drank. All right, so these ones are the strange ones. There are patterns of spelling with these verbs, but there are no rules. So what do we have to do? Yes, that's right. We have to learn these ones. Trial and error. If you make a mistake, learn from your mistake and try not to make the same mistake next time. All right, well, we can look at some of the spelling groups later, but let's just think about the way we make negative sentences when we're dealing with a verb in the past simple. We know how to make negative sentences when we're dealing with the verb to be in the past simple. In those situations, we have to add the adverb not to one of the two forms of the verb to be in the past simple. So we either use wasn't or weren't, was not or were not. Okay, but with other verbs, what do we do? Well, I'm sure you all know, but we'll have to leave that until Monday. Yes, it's that time again. The end of the lesson is upon us. All right, people, the end of the lesson has rolled around and it's time for me to leave you all for the weekend. But don't be sad. It's the weekend. It's Friday and very soon it'll be time for you to jump into the shower so that you can start the Friday evening procedure. Hot shower, scrub yourself clean, out of the shower, dry your hair, dry your body, and then that very important step, bung on some antiperspirant. Nobody wants to smell like a homeless dinosaur's armpits now, do they? No, of course not. And then? What then? Well, then it's time to get your glad rags on and head out into the world of wherever you're going. Get out and meet up with your friends and have a great time. All right, people, I'm off, but I'll see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Have as much fun as you can handle. And remember, if you have some spare time, check out the website, www.mediaclick.hu, the place where the vocab lives. See you on Monday. See you later. Bye.